Hey guys, it's Chris from the Ultimate Recycler. Welcome back to the channel. I'm in my backyard at home and behind me is a big pile of e-waste. It just came in, we've got to sort it out. Come and have a look with me. This was all dropped off just yesterday from well, it wasn't a deceased estate, it was family cleaning out their father's place, and he has dementia and he's gone into care, which is kind of sad, but the reality is it happens a fair bit. So it's essentially like a deceased estate. And this is all the electrical stuff. They brought a whole trailer load up and a few other bits that was dropped off the week before. And he basically said, it's going to the tip unless you want it. So this was all destined to the tip. I would like to think that they were going to put it in, at least in the e-waste crates, rather than to landfill. But anyway, there's got to be some value here for us. I said, drop it all off. I'll take everything and we'll sort it out and we'll see if we can get some value. We'll see how much we can actually put back into circulation. There's going to be some stuff that's quite usable, given that it was out of the house and it wasn't actually thrown out because it didn't work. Some of the stuff, though, will have issues. Some of it won't be worth cleaning up. And some of the, particularly, I think there's some power tools in those cases. The batteries are probably no good. They're probably not worth fixing up. But with those ones, we'll scrap them out for what value we can get. Some of it will go to the e-waste crates here once I've finished, because it's just, sometimes there's just nothing you can really do with it. I'll scrap out most value that I can and the rest of it will go to e-waste. But it might be surprising what we get. There's 3 PCs there. In this tin we have an entire box of remote controls. Some of them suit some of the gear here. There's power tools and bits and pieces in the milk crates. I just used the milk crates to unload it out of my van. It was one big massive pile at one stage. There's some garden gear. I think that's some sort of long reach hedge trimmer. There's a couple of blower vacs there. And around this side we have a long pole saw. And have a look at this. How much work do you think this has done? That Oregon chainsaw bar looks brand new. Paint's not worn off it. So we should get some value out of some of this. And also on the deck is a microwave. It's an LD brand. It's not a particularly good quality one, but it works perfectly fine. It's pretty clean. It's actually a convection and a grill as well as a microwave. We have a couple of TVs. There's a TIAC and the other one is a Sony. So they should be okay. I would imagine they work, and hopefully we've got the remotes for them. And we also have this Sony hi-fi system. I think it's got surround sound speakers. They're in the box down there as well. I did plug this in just the other day to see if it was going to work, and the radio fired up fine. The cassette players, I think, it's a dual cassette. I think they were filthy dirty. And yeah, they were full of dust, that's right. And it's got a CD, multi-CD player. I can't remember how many it takes. How does that open again? I can't remember. I'll probably have to have it powered on. Again, that's filthy dirty. I think it's probably worth fixing up this one. It should be a pretty good system. I might do a bit of checking. I think it probably has a remote for it as well. I'm not going to do any repairs in this video. I'm basically going to value stuff as it is, and then if I decide to go further with each item and fix it, I'll do a separate video. But basically we'll value stuff how it is, how it's been dropped off, and I'll scrap some stuff that needs scrapping, and there'll be quite a bit of, quite a pile of electrical wire, insulated copper wire. I think there's also a bit of scrap metal in one of the bins. I did see a big brass plumbing fitting. So we'll see how we go. We'll see what sort of value we get out of it. We'll see how much we can save. And we'll see how little we can actually throw out. Okay, here's the first box to process. And I thought it might be interesting to do a bit of a time trial on this whole pile, as in how many hours it takes me to process it, what sort of value I can expect to get for my time spent, and yeah, as I mentioned just before, how little we actually have to throw out. I'm going to do, in fairness, the stuff on the deck was given to me as part of the deal, but I don't think they would have taken the TVs and the microwave to the tip. They probably would have tried to give them away on Facebook or something like that. So I'm not going to include the stuff on the deck and the Sony stereo system. I might do a repair video on that separately. So we won't count that stuff. We'll just count the big pile that's out in my yard. We'll go through it. I'll probably make this a bit of a marathon, so we'll see how we go. I'm not going to film everything. I'm just going to say, all right, here's this box, and I'll unpack it. And I'll show you what value we get out of it, and then we'll move to the next box. And as far as the power tools go, I'll basically give them a bit of a clean and test them off camera, but I'll show you, you know, what works, what we're going to scrap. what might just go to e-waste. And we'll have a bit of a evaluation at the end to see how we all went. Let's start on this box. It looks like it's mostly wire. Hopefully we've got some cords for the TVs and maybe something to sell. Okay, I may as well unpack it on camera. That's an exhaust fan. Look, it looks like it was probably hardwired. I don't want to try and sell this stuff for like $5, but then again, the motor's probably only worth 50 cents. A little bit of cord's probably worth 10 cents. If I put it at the shop for $5, someone may well buy it. So perhaps we might go down that path. Then I don't have to spend time scrapping. Data cords I normally scrap. I normally chop the plugs off and just send it down to the scrapyard as data cable. I've tried to sell this stuff before. It just sits in the shop forever. No one really wants it. I might as well make up a load of wire. So that's what this box is. It looks like there's a, what's that? A power supply, power adapter. Maybe that might suit the TAC TV. Oh no, that might be for garden lights. Some power cords. These look like hanging lights of some sort. Oh yeah. There's no light in there. It's just a shade. They were probably halogen globes went in those. Okay, unpack as quick as we can. Lots of cables. Oh, that's probably an FM antenna. Or maybe an indoor TV antenna. Not sure. It's pretty cool. All right. Goodness, what's that? Maybe part of one. Yeah, I think that's a toothbrush. Electric toothbrush, but it's obviously incomplete. Let's sort this out. So approximately 15 minutes to sort out this one. I think this is an FM antenna. I tried it on my workshop radio and it does improve the reception. So I'm going to hang on to that. So we won't write down any value for there. I have tested the fan and it runs beautifully. So that's good. We're just going to put $5 on that. It's presentable enough. It'll sell quick. Much better than scrap price. These downlights, only one of them didn't have a globe. The others have got LED globes. And they're a little 12-volt transformer on them. And if I plug it in, they work perfectly fine. So I'm probably going to put, well, we've got 4 of them. I might just put $10 on the 4, given that one of them does need a globe. So they work fine. I've checked them all, and that's great. So quick turnover there. Now the cords, these IEC cords, like computer cords, as long as the plugs have the insulated pins, I will sell these. I get $2 per cord, and I sell quite a lot of those through the shop. Occasionally I need them myself, of course, and the TVs out there might need some of them. But we'll add all these up at the end of the episode. And that's a HDMI cable. I usually sell those for $3. Little bit of scrap, little bit of e-waste, just the plugs, the old toothbrush. That charger thing was a car one, but it was missing part of it. So chop the wire off. I've got bins for the wire. We'll add that up at the end of the exercise. Let's get the next box. This one was quite heavy. We do have some wire, whether it's, I'm not sure if it's very heavy speaker wire or not, but it's can go in an insulated copper wire bin. That looks like another cable. Oh yeah, that's an old one, so that can be, oh yeah, there's quite a lot of wire here. I think that was speaker wire. I'm not going to save any of this. I've got so much wire myself, so that can all go in the insulated copper wire bin. We have some ballasts here, probably from a halogen lamp. So it's a safety isolating transformer. They can all go in as transformers. We'll just chop the wires off. There's an old halogen fitting, more wire, lots of wire in here. Another transformer. Oh good, that's a ballast from a fluoro. Oh, maybe that's the same. Going as transformers anyway. An old style light here. I don't think it's worth trying to resurrect. We'll just salvage the wire off that. And our metal here is it's just steel. Go in our shred bin. Lots of wire. Oh, look at all this. Looks like the loom from a trailer or a car. So that will sell fine. Heaps of wire in here. A switch we can salvage. Some alligator clips here off jumper leads. Now they will sell. I'll just group them together at maybe $5 in the shop. Household wiring. Yeah, mostly scrap in this one. I'll be back with you shortly. I'll have it all sorted. Another 15 minutes, another box done. I'm going to keep some of this, just at the moment, very heavy wiring. That's got a massive big fuse in it. And this has got a relay and a switch and a plug, and it may be a loom for a winch or something, so I'm not going to cut it up just yet in case it goes with something in another box. Plug, I'll save all our ballasts out of the lights. That was the light fitting. That's just a piece of timber that can go in my firewood box. That's just scrap steel. What else have we got? Yeah, just those alligator clips. I'm keeping these wiring plugs and cords and things in case I need them for something else that's in the pile. That's all the actual rubbish we've got so far. And a pile of plugs and offcuts that just go to the e-waste station. So not much being thrown out at this stage. This crate is seriously heavy. I think it's got a lot more ballast in it. And how's that for a nice big piece of brass? Beauty. Okay, let's see if we can whip through this box in 15 minutes or less. So our brass plumbing fitting is, other than the rubber washer, which that should come out. Oh, actually that whole bung is plastic. We're going to take that right out. Okay, a bit of chiseling with an oversized screwdriver got that fitting out, but you've got to be careful on jobs like this. I mean, this is a great big piece of brass and it's well worth it, but you can waste a lot of time doing cleaning up jobs on bits of metal. All right, so our brass is good there. That'll weigh a fair bit. What have we got in here? Cords. That's a reasonably good cord with a socket on the end. I might hang on to that. I use them for testing purposes, so I might keep that one. A large audio cable, we'll just chop the plugs off those. And most of the weight in here, I think, is more ballasts and associated wiring. We have a sensor switch there. Probably just go in the e-waste, that one. That's a power pack. It's an older one. 3, 6, 9 and 12 volts. Overload. I guess we could test that. It might sell. As long as the cord and the plug are okay. Ah, there's no plug on it. Alright, I'm going to scrap it. So just more cords and more ballast. That's good. We'll be nice and quick here. Only 10 minutes to go through that crate. We have another big pile of, well, a bigger pile than we had before, of ballasts out of fluoro lights. So they will add up to some nice weight. I've moved my e-waste bits into this bucket, just plugs and bits and pieces. That's our rubbish. Some of the ballasts had lost their covers, but you can see it's just a huge transformer in there. A few more bits of brass. The plugs off that audio cable I'm going to put in with dirty brass. So that's what we've got so far. We have a few things to sort out here. I don't think this is worth trying to sell. And I'm not even sure what this is. Maybe a battery pack. And we'll probably take this power pack apart. I think it's got a transformer in it. And a couple of electrical junction boxes, or like huge relays. They're going to have a coil of copper wire in them. So I might pull that out a bit later. But at this stage, 10 minutes for this crate. I'll tidy up. I'll put those ballasts in a large milk crate so that we can weigh them later. And I'll go and get the next box. Oh, incidentally, I'm sorting my wire into 2 tubs here. That one's data type cable and audio, very fine wires. This stuff is more your mains power wires and heavy speaker wire. So we're getting a fair weight of that as well. I decided to deal with these few other extras before we get the next box. I pulled this power supply apart. It did have a decent transformer in it. A bit of aluminium from a heatsink. The circuit board's nothing special, and I clipped a bit of wire out of it. I pulled apart one of these relays. They're a heavy relay. I basically just broke all the fittings off and ripped into it as quick as I could. I have had these before with quite large silver contacts, but these are tiny ones. So there's no real value in there for me at all. Little bits of heavy melt steel there. We do have a coil of copper wire and a few bits of hardware and some springs. I think these tabs are probably brass, but the copper buttons on them are not even buttons. They're just a fine little slither of silver on the end. I'm not even going to try and save that. This thing was a fuse holder, and there was another fuse in the box as well. These are HRC fuses, and I did a video once on smashing a heap of these open, and they do have a silver filament, and the ends are actually either copper or brass, but it's quite dusty doing it. There's some fine silica sand in there, and I did read somewhere that some of them could contain asbestos. So I'm not going to go after a little bit of silver anymore with these. I'm going to put them straight in the e-waste. It's not worth the risk when you have a fine dust around and it could contain asbestos. But that's what one of those was in that container. We did get some nice copper brackets. You can see where I filed that. Nice copper colour there. And some decent chunks of brass. It is silver plated, I think, or is plated with something, but it is brass, and a couple of bits of stainless steel. So that was worth doing. I'm not going to worry about this one. There's just not enough value in there. They're very light. There's not much copper wire in there at all. So I probably shouldn't have bothered with that one, but at least I know what's in it now. Another 10 minutes really mucking around there. So this box ended up being 20 minutes. Okay, the next item from the pile isn't a box. It's an old bread maker. Now the front panel's gone. It's been knocked around, and I just had a look in here, and it's actually corroded in the bottom. So it's certainly not worth testing and trying to sell. Now, I did a video on scrapping a bread maker quite a while ago. I'll put a card up if I remember to do that. Oh, the hinge is broken too. And I did a complete analysis, and it worked out that we get about $6. I don't know what the scrap prices were like back then, but it was barely worth it. I think I decided that, and it's probably what I'm going to do with this one, is this is cast aluminium. Oh, no, it's not. Well, it mostly is. It's aluminium, domestic aluminium thingo, and cast at the bottom. And that's probably stainless steel. It's non-magnetic. So we might just scrap that very quickly, and the rest of it, they have got a decent motor in them, but it takes a while to get it out. So the rest of it, I'm just going to chop the cord off, chop the plug off the cord, and this can go straight to e-waste. I'm just time poor at the moment, and I'm not going to muck around pulling a motor out of this when it's really marginal as far as time goes. So none of this is aluminium, it's all just normal pressing steel. Put the lid back on it or with it, and they can go straight to the e-waste station. So I'll pull a few bits off this. The handle is stainless steel. It's got metal clips here. You know what, I'm not going to muck around. This can go back in there with that. So there we go, about a minute and the bread maker is done. Stop the presses. I just had a thought. This can go in with my irony aluminium exactly how it is. So there we go. We won't throw this to e-waste, but the rest of it, that's where it's going. And the next box is a bit big to carry, so I just grabbed a few things off the top of it. Now I think there's more power boards out there, so we'll group them all together and deal with them when we get them all. A Mistral heater, little fan heater. The case looks okay. It's got the safety switch on the bottom, and importantly, okay, someone's chopped the plug off the cord. I'm not going to try and put another plug on it. It's just not worth the time to sell something like this. These would be less than $20 new, I would think. It's only a basic model. So easy there. Little electric motor in there is certainly not worth getting out. Chop the cord off, straight to the e-waste station. So we're going to get through a bit of it fairly quickly without really much time, which is fine by me because there's a big pile to go through. There's a little single slice toaster. What brand is it? Unbranded. Oh, it's a Anko, fairly cheap brand, made in China. Looks clean. Oh, it's probably only ever done one slice of toast. All right, so I think that's saleable. We'll test that. Make sure it's safe, but it's certainly clean enough. And hooray, the plug's on it. Beauty. We're only going to get, oh, we could possibly get $10 if we tag and test it. I'll just wipe the top down. It's a little grubby on the top. So I'll test that. We should be able to sell that one, keep that one out of the waste stream. It's not a matter of not being able to lift that big box now. I think I could lift it, but it's too big to get in my shed. I need to clear away the walkway a bit. All right, we have some more exhaust fans. That one looks... What's wrong with that? Oh, it's just hitting on the brackets. That one does look quite old and scungy. I don't think I'm going to try and sell that one. The motor will be easy to get off, and we'll chop the cord off it. Probably the same with this one. That's actually got quite a heavy motor on it. But these are very dirty old ones. They've obviously been pulled out of somewhere for a reason, whereas the other one looked like it was a much better quality machine. I'm just going to pull the motors out of these quickly and chop the cords off. Shouldn't take long. And this one is a paper shredder. Very dirty. In fact, it's all sticky. I don't know where it's been. And it looks like the actual shredder part's quite rusty, so it may have been outside. I'm not going to pull that apart. I have done one of these before. They do have an electric motor, one end, quite a few gears. They're usually quite oily and greasy on all the gears. And those paper shredder things are very sharp, so I'm going to leave that intact. This one's an easy one again. Chop the cord off, and that can go to the transfer station. So a lot of it is going to end up out there, but at least we're getting to save some value, and things like that toaster we will be able to save. All right, I'll turn the camera off. I'll just pull the motors and take the cords out of these two, and that will probably, shouldn't take very long to do. There's only 2 bolts with that one. And I think that will probably round up another 10 minutes to give us a total of 10, 20. I think we're at an hour now. We're an hour in. Just quickly checking this toaster. It works perfectly. It tests safe. There's a good earth on it. And it actually polished up like a new one. The 2 motors come out of those exhaust fans beautifully. This one wasn't even screwed in. It just pressed into rubber sort of mounting blocks. And once I got the fan off the front, it just about fell out. That one only took 2 screws. So we didn't really even take 10 minutes to do all this. I'll write out a tag for the toaster and I'll be easy able to get $10 for that. It's the next day and I'm onto another box, or a crate in this case. We need to get through this stuff. We have a 3-in-1 light, air compressor, and what's the other thing? Oh, warning light. It says 3-in-1. Light, flash, and pressure gun. Okay, pressure what? Pressure gauge. Alright, so looks like there's some tape over here, so something's obviously broken. A flashing unit maybe. It's the hose light, because these often perish. Oh, it feels okay. I guess we should test it. The wiring looks alright. It's got the cigarette lighter plug on the end. I think it's just a clip broken. I don't think that really affects us trying to sell it, particularly if we're only going to put $5 on it. I think we'll just hook it up to the power supply and give that a quick check. Make sure, I guess, the light works. And the air compressor, and even the air compressor is going to be worth $5 for someone just blowing up their bicycle tyres. So I'll check that one shortly. Speaking of bicycles, this isn't even electrical. How did this get in the box? Bicycle lift, mountable to the ceiling of your garage or storage area, and lift 20 kilos, suitable for all bike types. Alright, so that looks brand new. I think we'll be able to sell that for sure. I'm not sure what they're worth. I'm just thinking put $10 on it, someone will buy it. That looks like a rest for a keyboard. Don't know what else it would be for, but that's pretty grotty. It's only plastic. That's going to have to go in the rubbish. And this piece is a charging dock, perhaps for one of those auto vacuum robot things, because that's the sort of thing they dock with and charge. So I don't know if we've actually, I think we might have. I reckon I saw one of those out there. The charger itself I'll keep anyway, but we'll leave that until we find the actual vacuum thing. So that can go in our box here to wait. And the last thing in this crate is a radio, I think. A Sony. Okay. Sony clock radio. Is it a DAB one or a digital? No, it just says FM, AM, CD clock radio. Oh, it's a CD player as well. Alright, well that's pretty cool. That will certainly be of some value if it goes, and if it doesn't go, it might be a good one to fix. So I'll just plug that in and test it. We'll value it as it is as far as this video goes. If it doesn't work properly, I might try and fix it in a future video. Let's get the crate off the table. and we better check these things. Okay, I have a 12 volt power transformer here that takes a cigarette lighter plug. So let's see if this works. Well, the compressor works. It does blow out air. Our light works. And flash. Oh, okay. Sounds like an indicator. Must have a flasher unit inside. Alright, so it does all work. The case is a bit dodgy. It will clean up a bit better, but that sounds okay. I think we'll just put $5 on it. That's fine. It doesn't need to be pretty. Turn that off, and someone will have a use for it. And the Sony unit's obviously been in a shed. It's got paint over the cord, but it would have been a pretty expensive unit, I would think. So let's power it up. Okay, the clock's flashing. The clock should be okay. Radio should be okay. More the thing is the CD player. Okay, the radio's going to work. Where is FM? We have preset stations. There we go.
Breaking away from the Roman Catholic
Antenna wire.
Church.
Okay, that's good. Let's try the CD. Now, open. Yeah, it's a little dirty in there, but we'll clean up okay. Do we have a CD to play? Stuart's Music for Dancing. I don't know where this one came from. It's not reading any tracks. Oh, it sounds like it's doing something. It says track 1 down there. Oh, there we go. Makes you want to get up and dance, doesn't it? Right, so that all works fine. It just needs a bit of a tidy up. I'll spend a couple of minutes just giving it a wipe over and maybe get the paint off the speaker grill if I can. And price-wise, well, I'm going to go at least $20 on this. I might just check online to see if they're much more valuable than that. Doesn't appear to be damaged, just dirty. I spent a little bit of time on the Sony because I think it's worth it. I think I'm going to put $30 on it. I managed to get rid of most of the paint off the grill there, and I cleaned the cord up. That was pretty easy, just with a razor blade and a bit of methylated spirits. So it's a nice presentable unit in good working order. I reckon $30 should be more than achievable. A bit of a peek now at how the pile's going. We're getting through it. As you can see, that big tub would be a challenge to get into my shed, so I'll keep pulling things out of that. Then there's more in the next tub. A few more milk crates, mostly power tools I think in those. And of course the bigger items that are lying around, and the 3 PCs. So I'll keep going. I'll get all this in one video, a bit of a marathon. You can break it down and watch it in halves if you want, or if you want, you can not watch it at all. That's your choice. But I thought we'll see how a marathon will go. It'll keep me under pressure to get it all cleaned up. And right on top, there's that Robo Vacuum. I knew I had one of those. So, alright, let's keep dragging stuff out of this crate first. We'll get through the crates and the boxes, I think, first. Then we'll do the power tools and probably the PCs last. So the last little stint added 15 minutes to our overall time. I'll keep track of it all. I've just set my timer to go through this lot, and I'm keeping track of my time to clean things up and make them saleable to the extent that I'm doing. Alright, we have some electrical wiring here. Easy, I've still got a tub for that. This looks like coax. Quite a length of it actually. Now, I wonder if that's worth hanging on to. Normally with coax, I wouldn't put it in any of my copper wire bins because a lot of it has a steel core in the middle, and scrapyards don't like it. Even if it's not the steel, even if it's a copper one, I don't want to risk downgrading my load of electrical wire. I can't tell if it's steel or not from there. But so usually I just send it out to the local transfer station for e-waste. This one is long enough that I may well use here because I do want to set up a TV antenna for my shed for testing TVs. So I'll hang on to that. But either way, it was going to be no value. Now we had a paper bag full of bits. Looks like all sorts of computer cords and maybe some cameras. The paper can be recycled. Goodness, what a mixed bag. Oh, that's a little... It's missing the lenses. I wonder if you hear. That's just a head visor thing. It's also got a broken... It's missing the pivot stud from this side. Little LED light. Battery must be flat. But that has the lenses, and I use one of these when I'm doing repairs in my other room. They're quite handy. So if I can find the lenses, I'll take that one to the shop. It'll be handy. Right, we have USB cords. That's a USB extension cord. So I do have a little bucket for those in the shop, and I sell those just at $1 each. That cord's had the end cut off. So we'll basically save any cords that are worthwhile. That's a standard double core figure 8 cord for just any common little stereo, or even some TVs that don't run an earth. So I'll just sort this out. The cords we will sell, and I'll add them up at the end. Any that are not worth it, I will chop up and throw in our electric wire bins, and I'll get back to you shortly. So I've spent nearly half an hour sorting this out, and it's probably a bit more time. Well, it's certainly more time than I would if I was scrapping it, but I'm after a bit more value than scrap because there's not much wire there, and these little gadgets really aren't worth anything for scrap metal. But I'm trying to get some extra value.
The mic's off. To turn it back on,
excuse me.
slide the switch on the back of Google Home.
Let's turn that off. So they seem to work fine. This is a little Google, I think it's like a Bluetooth speaker and some sort of Google Assistant, because it asked to connect to the internet before. So, which I'm not going to do because I don't need it, but I'm not sure how you would go about it. But I think I could probably get $5 for that through the shop. It is an older model, but it appears to work fine with its power pack. The smart camera here as well appears to be powering up fine. There's a quick start guide with it. Look, they're slightly older technology as far as cameras go, but it should work fine. We should be able to get $5 for it. Cheap enough. Someone will grab it. So a bit of extra value there rather than scrap. Lots of other things. There's a Navman here, but I plugged it into the charger, but I couldn't get it to fire up. So I think there's a problem with that. And it is quite an old model there, so that probably just goes in the e-waste. The charger packs themselves, I've got a few of these. They're just USB chargers. I sell those for $5 each in the shop, so there's another 2 or 3 around. This charger was in the box with a broken wire, so I've just snipped that off. It's a heavier one. It's a linear power supply rather than a switch mode, so I'll give that a hit with a hammer and get the transformer out of it. A little audio video selector switch here. That'll probably get $5. I did find the little pivot for that, but it's missing the nut still. There's a little mini laptop, a HP, I think it's a notepad or something like that. It's quite small, as you can see from my hand. Other than a bit of wear to the keys, it looks okay. I think the charger's in another box. It's running Windows Vista, so that dates it, I think, pre-2010, so it's getting back a bit. I had a look online, and amazingly they sell. I don't know why, but they were selling for anything up to $100. So I'm not going to sell it without removing the hard drive, or have a think about that. I don't know what value to put on that at the moment. There's some more security cameras here, and the guy did tell me that there's probably more of these to come, so we'll keep those separate until we see what else we get. I've been adding lots of chargers and cords to this box, and I've kept a lot of these cords. One thing I have learned when I'm sorting out these deals like this is don't go through and cut the cords, because chances are you'll find something that needs one of the cords. So the only cords I've been chopping up are really common ones, but I'm keeping some of the ones that obviously are needed to power up things. So when I get to the end of this deal, I might go through and cut some up, because some of these cords, I get so many of them through the shop. I only sell them at $1 each, and they still build up quicker than what I can sell them. But at this stage, I'll hang on to those. So really, we've spent half an hour on this job just sorting and testing some things. Very little will be going to e-waste, which is good. a little bit of scrap copper wire and stuff, but we'll have quite a few things to sell through the shop, albeit quite cheaply. But, you know, $5 for that is about $4.95 more than we get for any sort of scrap value. All right, I'll pack these up. I'll go and get something else. My next armful provides us with some more computer stuff and cords. There's a modem or a router, which I never try to sell. I've never had any success even selling brand new ones. They've got a pretty good board in there, so we'll just pull the board out of that. It looks like a little, maybe that's a wireless, like a Bluetooth keypad for a keyboard. Not sure about that. It's a Microsoft one, so we can probably test that. This looks like a digital clock, bedside clock probably, and it's got a USB. It probably runs just off 5 volts, so we can test that. What's in here? Oh, a light. Oh, this is like the other ones. Okay. Oh, that's got a halogen globe in it. Yeah, it's different to the other ones, but we can test that and possibly sell that. Does that sit in there? Yeah, there we go. Looks as if it's never been used actually. So I can easily just hook some power up to that one and see if that works. We might get $5 for it. So a little bit of testing in this section. We have a power supply here, output 16 volts. That's an unusual output. Not sure what that suits, but it may well suit something that we've scored in this deal. It looks like we have an extension cord. With extension cords, I get so many of them. Any with the old style plugs without the insulated pins, I usually just scrap for the copper wire. I can test them. That one actually looks like it's been arcing a bit in the socket there, so I think that's better just going in our electrical wire for scrap. We have some chargers. All right, so there's hopefully one for that little laptop. There could be other laptop chargers. There's a remote control here that suits the Sony TV. Good, that's the one on our deck, I think, so that'll be excellent. Other chargers, that's probably the power pack for the modem. I do keep all those. What's this? Another remote from, that's a TIAC. It's probably a little stereo system. I'm not sure I've actually got that, but I do keep a big box full of remotes at the shop because I'm always looking for them, and quite often I find them. A couple of keyboards. All right, I'll sort all this out and we'll see if we've got any value here. It's a few days later and I'm struggling to find some time to finish off this Ewaste deal, so I'm going to finish this video up after this section. I'll show you the notepad and we'll do part 2 shortly and clean up the rest of it. What did we find in this lot? Well, there's some useful cords, remotes, power packs and things that I'm not getting rid of just yet in this pile. The clock radio, I found a charger for it, and it works perfectly fine. In fact, it's a battery one as well, and it works great. But with the battery alone, the time actually times out after 10 seconds and goes blank again. But when you have it on the charger, it works fine. It's got, the front face looks a bit rough, but upon closer inspection, it's still got that original plastic cover over it from brand new, and I like them when I find them like this because when you peel it off, it looks brand new. How good's that? So it works great. I'm going to put that in the shop just for $10, so I'm pleased that I found the power pack for that one. The downlight here, I'm just going to put that with the other ones, even though this one's a halogen one. I think we just had $10 on the lot of 4. We'll just include that one with it. This cardboard can go in the recycle bin. I did scrap out that old modem, and there's the board out of it, so that can just go in with our mid-grade boards. There's no parts I want off that. There was a little USB camera here. It mounts on the top of your screen, and I just plugged it into my laptop. It works perfectly fine. It's an older one, but I'll easily still get $5 for that. There was a little mini multi-card reader here, and I did a quick check online. You can still buy these new, and they retail at anywhere between $20 and $30. I'll just put $5 on that. Some good value in the keyboards. Now this keyboard is an ergonomic design, and I actually hooked it up and typed on it, and it's very awkward to type on, but I guess you get used to it. The number pad goes with it, and when I was testing it, I couldn't work out whether it was a Bluetooth or something, and then I quickly found through Google that it's supposed to have a receiver. I went and had a look in the old PCs out in the yard, and lo and behold, I found the receiver for it. So it works fine. I did put new batteries in both this one and the keyboard, and it works beautifully. Needs a bit of a clean-up. They apparently came as a kit with a mouse as well, and the kits new were over $200. In fact, I think you can still buy them. So I don't think I'll have any trouble when I've cleaned this up getting $50 for this. The keypad is pretty cool in that when you when it's connected with your receiver, you can use this like a calculator, and you can even open a calculator screen, and it all works perfectly. So I should get $50 for that. This other keyboard is a vintage 1990s one. It's a model SK6000, made in Taiwan. And I think we should get about $30 for that. It does need a bit of a clean up, but it has two plug options. It has the AT plug and a serial port. So I did see quite a few online selling. Postage was, of course, an addition to selling them online. I'm just going to clean it up a little and put it in the shop for $30. So I got some good returns out of this armful. I did spend about 3/4 of an hour testing it all and making sure, and I had to scrap the modem, of course. So it added a bit of a time to our exercise. But let's go to the notepad. In fact, I can hold it up to the camera here. I think you should be able to see it. Just roughly, I've logged all our time. We've spent about 2.5 hours so far. And these are the things that I'm going to sell in the shop. So nothing's worth putting on eBay, but I should sell all these things through the shop pretty easily. So I've got $185 there, plus all that scrap. We've got all those transformers, ballasts, a couple of tubs of copper wire, even a big hunk of brass. So just at the stuff I'm going to sell them at $185 for 2.5 hours work. That's a bit over $70 an hour. That's looking pretty good so far. So I'll finish this episode up now. We'll just call this part 1 of the marathon e-waste pile or something like that. I'll do part 2 soon because I need to clear out the rest of that stuff. It's still piled out of my yard and there's stuff on the deck. But I am going to the farm next week, and I've got to do a couple of emergency storage shed episodes, so there's plenty going on. We'll post this one. We'll follow up with part 2 when I can do it. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you then. Bye for now.